I didn't recognize the number on my phone. It was 3:47 a.m. in Chicago, and I'd been awake for 20 minutes already, staring at the ceiling like I did most nights since Margaret passed. When you get to be 63 and sleep alone in a house built for two, the darkness has a way of keeping you company. The voice on the other end was crisp, professional, detached. "Mr. Patterson, this is Nurse Chen from Presbyterian Hospital in Albuquerque. I'm calling about your son, David." My heart stopped. David, my boy, 41 years old, and still my boy. "There's been an incident. He's in our ICU. You need to come now." I didn't ask questions, didn't pack. I grabbed my wallet, my phone, and the photo of Margaret I kept on the nightstand. I was in my car before I realized I was still wearing my slippers. The drive to O'Hare was a blur. The first flight to Albuquerque didn't leave until 6:30, so I sat in the terminal, watching the sun come up through the massive windows, watching people rush past with their coffee and their laptops and their normal lives. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. When I finally got to Presbyterian, I didn't stop at the front desk. Something in my gut told me every second mattered. I followed the signs to the ICU on the 3rd floor, my slippers making soft padding sounds on the linoleum that seemed obscenely loud in the quiet morning corridor. I found his room by the name on the door, David Michael Patterson. The same name as my father. The same name David had wanted to give his son if he and Rachel ever had one. Rachel. Where was Rachel? The sight of David stopped me cold in the doorway. My son, my strong, healthy, mountain-climbing son, looked like a broken doll. Tubes everywhere, machines beeping. His face was swollen, bruised, a deep purple on the left side.
Both arms were casted. A ventilator breathed for him.
"Mr. Patterson."
I turned. The nurse, Chen, the one who'd called me. She was young, maybe 30, with tired eyes that had seen too much. What happened to my son?
"Rock climbing accident. He fell about 40 feet. Shattered both arms, fractured his skull, internal bleeding. We had him in surgery for 7 hours. The next 72 hours are critical."
My legs felt weak. I grabbed the doorframe. "Is he going to make it?" She hesitated. That hesitation told me everything.
"We're doing everything we can."
I walked to his bedside, pulled up a chair, took his hand, careful of the IV line. "Hey, buddy. It's Dad. I'm here now. You're going to be okay." The machines beeped. David didn't move.
"Mr. Patterson, I need to ask you some questions, for our records."
I nodded, not looking away from David's face.
"Is there anyone else we should contact? His wife, perhaps?"
"Rachel," I said. "His wife's name is Rachel.
"Rachel Patterson. We've been trying to reach her since he came in last night. The number we have goes straight to voicemail." A cold feeling crept up my spine. "What do you mean since last night? How long has he been here?" "He was admitted at 11 p.m. It's now 8:15 a.m. 9 hours. David had been here, alone, fighting for his life, for 9 hours. "Where is she?" I heard my voice, but it sounded far away. "Where is Rachel?" The nurse looked uncomfortable. "We don't know, sir. We were hoping you might." I pulled out my phone, called Rachel's number. Straight to voicemail, just like the nurse said. I tried texting. Nothing. I opened Find My Friends, the app David had set up for the family last Christmas, half as a joke. "So we can find each other at the mall," he'd laughed. The little dot that was Rachel's phone was moving. I zoomed in. The Bahamas. Nassau, to be specific. At a resort called Atlantis. She's in the Bahamas, I said quietly.
The nurse's face went carefully blank.
I see.
When he fell, when this happened, where was she supposed to be?
I believe they were climbing together.
But when the rescue team arrived, she wasn't there. Another climber said she'd left about an hour before the accident. Said she got a phone call and seemed upset, then took off. I stared at that little dot on my phone. That little dot representing my daughter-in-law, 900 miles away in paradise, while my son lay dying. I should have called her. Should have demanded she get on the next plane. But something stopped me. Call it instinct. Call it the sixth sense you develop after 40 years in corporate security. Learning to read people. Learning when something doesn't add up. Instead, I opened Instagram. Rachel was active on social media, always posting. David used to joke about it, how she documented every meal, every sunset, every moment of her influencer lifestyle, as she called it.
She had maybe 50,000 followers, made a little money from it. Enough to call it a side hustle. Her latest story was posted 2 hours ago. A sunrise over turquoise water, a champagne glass in the foreground. The caption, "Sometimes you need to choose you. Paradise found. Hashtag self-care. Hashtag living my best life. Hashtag Bahamas mama." I stared at that image for a long time. At the champagne. At the carefully chosen hashtags. At the timestamp. 2 hours ago. While David was here, tubes down his throat, machines breathing for him. "Mr. Patterson, are you all right?" I wasn't, but I nodded anyway. I spent that day by David's bedside. The doctors came and went. The news was bad, then worse, then cautiously optimistic, then bad again. His brain was swelling. They might need to operate again. The next 24 hours would tell them everything. I held his hand and talked to him. Told him about the Cubs game I'd watched last week. About the leak in the garage I'd finally fixed. About anything, everything, just so he'd know he wasn't alone. At some point, I ordered food I didn't eat. At some point, a different nurse brought me a blanket. I didn't sleep. And I watched Rachel's Instagram. Another post at noon, her feet in the sand. Toes in the sand, worry-free state of mind. At 3 p.m., a selfie. Her in a bikini, sunglasses, smiling. Alone in the photo, but I could see a shadow next to hers. Someone just out of frame. Sun-kissed and blessed. At 6 p.m., a video. Her laughing, holding a tropical drink, music in the background. You could hear a man's voice, just barely, saying something that made her giggle. I should have been furious. I was. But underneath the fury was something colder, something calculating, something that came from those 40 years of corporate security, of dealing with employee theft, corporate espionage, fraud. I'd seen a lot of people think they were smarter than the system. Seen a lot of people underestimate the consequences. Rachel had no idea what she'd just walked into. I made a call. To Marcus Webb, a private investigator I'd worked with for 15 years on corporate cases. He was expensive, discreet, and very, very good. "Marcus, it's Robert Patterson. I need you in Nassau tonight. I'm sending you a name and photo. I need to know everything. Who she's with, where she's staying, how long this has been going on. I need evidence. Photos, videos, records, everything." "How fast do you need this?" "Yesterday. I'll be on the next flight." Then I made another call. To David's best friend, Connor. They'd known each other since college. Been roommates, groomsmen at each other's weddings. "Connor, it's Robert, David's father." "Mr. Patterson, hey. I heard about the accident. How is he?"
Not good. I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. How were things between David and Rachel? Long pause. Too long. Connor.
Mr. Patterson, it's not my place to. My son might die. Make it your place. He sighed. They've been having problems for about 6 months. David thought she was cheating on him, but he couldn't prove it. He hired a PI, but the guy came up empty. Rachel got really good at covering her tracks after that. Did David tell you who he suspected? Yeah. Guy named Brett Holloway. They met at some influencer conference in Miami last year. David said she changed after that. Started traveling more for collaborations. Got really protective of her phone. The usual signs, you know? Brett Holloway. Got it. Anything else? David wanted to file for divorce, but Rachel kept putting him off. She'd cry, promise to change. They'd have a good week, then it would start again. He was miserable, Mr. Patterson. I told him to just rip the Band-Aid off, but he kept hoping she'd come back to him. After I hung up, I sat there in the dim hospital room, listening to the machines keep my son alive. And I thought about Margaret. My wife had died 3 years ago, cancer. And in those final months, she'd made me promise something. Take care of David, she'd said, her hand thin as paper in mine. He's too trusting, too kind. He's going to get hurt, and when he does, you protect him. Promise me. I'd promised. Marcus called me at midnight. I'm at Atlantis. Found her, room 2847. She's with a man, Brett Holloway, age 36, commercial real estate developer out of Miami. They're not exactly being subtle. I've got photos of them having dinner, walking on the beach, entering the room together. Want me to keep going? I want everything. How long has she been there? Checked in 4 days ago, under her own name. Paid for by a credit card in her name only, not a joint account. 4 days. While David had been planning their climbing trip. While he'd been texting her about what gear to bring, what trails to hit. Marcus, I need you to go back further. I need to know when this started. I need receipts, hotel records, flight manifests. I need a timeline. That'll take time. You have 48 hours. I called my lawyer next. Carol Winters, the best family law attorney in Chicago. I'd used her for some corporate cases where employment disputes got messy. Carol, I need to know about divorce law in New Mexico. Specifically, I need to know about fault-based divorce. New Mexico is a no-fault state, Robert. You can't use adultery as grounds. But it can affect property settlement, right? Potentially. If you can prove dissipation of marital assets, hiding assets, that sort of thing. Why? What's going on? I told her. I told her everything. When I finished, there was silence on the line. Then Carol said quietly, I'm so sorry about David. And yes, we can work with this. But Robert, you need to understand something. Even if David survives, even if he wakes up, he might not want to pursue this. He might forgive her. Then I'll make sure he has all the information he needs to make that choice. What are you planning? I'm planning to make sure that if my son survives, he doesn't wake up to a woman who left him to die alone. Over the next 48 hours, while I sat by David's bedside, while doctors fought to reduce the swelling in his brain, while machines breathed for him and pumped medicine into his veins, I built a case. Marcus sent me everything. Photos of Rachel and Brett dated back 6 months. Hotel receipts from Atlanta, New York, Los Angeles. Always when David thought she was at influencer events. Always the same room, under Brett's name. Credit card statements showing charges to expensive restaurants, jewelry stores. A bracelet I'd never seen Rachel wear appeared in 3 photos on her Instagram, always when she was traveling for work. Connor sent me screenshots, text messages he'd saved from David, late-night conversations where my son poured out his heart. I think she's planning to leave me. I think she's just waiting for the right moment. I don't know what I did wrong. You did nothing wrong, buddy. You trusted the wrong person, that's all. Carol sent me documents, prenup agreements. David and Rachel had signed one before the wedding. I'd insisted on it, and for the first time, I was grateful David had listened. The prenup was clear. In case of infidelity, the wronged party kept everything. House, savings, investments, everything. The cheating spouse left with what they brought into the marriage. Rachel had brought nothing. She'd been 28 when they married, working part-time as a yoga instructor, living with 2 roommates in a crappy apartment. David had been 36, already successful, already stable. On the 3rd day, David's condition stabilized. The swelling was going down. He wasn't out of danger, but he was no longer actively dying. The doctors started talking about recovery instead of survival. That's when Rachel finally called me.
Robert, it's Rachel. I just got the messages. Oh my God, is David okay? What happened?
Her voice was perfect. The right amount of panic, concern, breathlessness. If I hadn't known better, I would have believed every word. There was an accident. He fell while climbing. He's in ICU.
I'm coming home right now. I'm at a wellness retreat in the Bahamas. They have a strict no-phone policy. I just got my phone back and saw all the messages and...
A wellness retreat?
Yes, it was booked months ago. It's this digital detox thing. You surrender your phone for a week and...
What's the name of it?
What?
The retreat. What's it called?
It's called Serenity Bay.
I looked at the photo on my phone. Rachel and Brett kissing on a balcony. The sign behind them clearly read, Atlantis. Rachel, stop lying to me. Silence. I know where you are. I know who you're with. I know how long this has been going on. Robert, I don't know what you think I have photos. I have receipts. I have a private investigator who has been documenting every move you've made for the past 3 days. And more importantly, I have 6 months of evidence showing you've been cheating on my son. I heard her breathing on the other end, heard her calculating. This isn't what it looks like. Then tell me what it looks like, Rachel. Tell me how it looks when my son is fighting for his life and you're posting champagne photos on Instagram. Tell me how it looks when you're kissing another man while David has tubes breathing for him. You don't understand. David and we've been having problems. We were practically separated already. This trip was supposed to be a break, a chance to figure things out. Don't you dare make this about David. Don't you dare make him the villain in your story. I want to see him. I'm his wife. And I'm his father. And I'm his medical proxy, because you weren't here to sign the forms, because you were too busy choosing yourself. You can't keep me from him. I can, and I will, until you and I have a conversation about your future. Are you threatening me? I'm offering you a choice. You can get on a plane right now, come back here, and face David when he wakes up. Face telling him where you were, who you were with while he was dying. Or you can sign divorce papers, take what you brought into this marriage, and walk away clean. No drama, no scandal, just gone. You're insane. I'm a father protecting his son. Here's what's going to happen, Rachel. I have enough evidence to destroy you, to make sure every one of your followers knows exactly what kind of person you are. To make sure Brett's business partners know he's sleeping with married women while their husbands are in critical care. I can make your life very, very difficult.
You wouldn't.
Try me.
David will never forgive you if you do this.
Maybe. But at least he'll be alive to be angry at me. Because that's what matters. Not your feelings. Not your reputation. Not your influencer career. My son's life. I hung up. She called back 17 times. I didn't answer. David woke up on the 4th day. His eyes fluttered open around noon, confused, scared. I was there, holding his hand.
Dad?
Hey, buddy. I'm here. You're okay. You're going to be okay.
What happened?
You fell, rock climbing. But you're going to be fine. His eyes darted around the room, looking for someone.
Where's Rachel?
This was it, the moment I'd been dreading. David, I need to tell you something, and you're not going to like it. I told him everything. I showed him the photos, the receipts, the timeline. I watched my son's face as his world crumbled around him. He didn't cry. He just stared at the ceiling, jaw clenched, tears running silently down his temples.
How long have you known? He finally asked. 3 days.
Why didn't you tell me before?
You were unconscious, buddy. I was a little busy making sure you survived.
Did you talk to her?
Yesterday. I gave her a choice. Come back and face you, or sign papers and leave.
What did she choose?
She hasn't called back. He closed his eyes.
She's not coming back, is she?
No, I don't think she is.
Good. His voice was hard, bitter. Good. The next few weeks were rough. David's body healed faster than his heart. Physical therapy, surgeries to remove the hardware from his arms, countless follow-ups. I stayed with him through all of it. Rachel never came back.
She signed the papers Carol sent her, took nothing but her clothes and her car. The house, the savings, the investments David had built up. She surrendered all of it without a fight. Carol said she'd never seen someone fold so fast. She's scared, Carol told me. Scared of what you might release. Scared of losing her followers. Her whole identity is built on that platform. You threaten that, you threaten everything. I never released anything. Didn't need to. The knowledge that I could was enough. Brett Holloway stopped returning Rachel's calls 2 days after she got back to Miami. Funny how men like that disappear when the affair stops being fun and starts being real. Last I heard from Marcus, she moved back in with her parents in Ohio. Her Instagram went quiet for a month, then came back with a carefully crafted post about personal growth and finding yourself after trauma. The comments weren't kind. People could smell the bullshit. David filed for divorce. It was final 3 months after the accident. He sold the house. Too many memories, he said. Bought a condo downtown, closer to me. We have dinner twice a week now. He's seeing a therapist, taking it 1 day at a time. Last week, he said something that stuck with me. Dad, I need to ask you something. That call you made to Marcus, to Carol, all of it. Did you do it for me, or did you do it because you were angry? I thought about that, really thought about it. Both, I finally said. I was furious at what she did to you, furious that she left you alone. But everything I did to protect you, to make sure you had the information you needed to make the right choice. And if I'd chosen to take her back, then I would have supported you. I wouldn't have liked it, but I would have supported you. Would you have released the photos? No, that was never really the plan. The threat was enough. He nodded slowly.
Thank you. For being there. For having my back.
That's what fathers do, buddy. We sat there in silence for a while, eating Chinese takeout in his new condo, watching the city lights come on outside his window. Mom would have handled this differently, he said eventually. Your mother would have driven straight to the Bahamas and drowned Rachel in the ocean. He laughed. Actually laughed. First real laugh I'd heard from him in months. Yeah, she would have. I still think about those days sometimes, about the choices I made, about whether I did the right thing. Carol was right. It wasn't my marriage. It wasn't my choice to make. But I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry I protected my son. I'm not sorry I made Rachel face consequences. I'm not sorry I kept the promise I made to Margaret. Because at the end of the day, that's what family does. We protect each other. Even when it's hard. Even when it's messy. Even when we have to become someone we're not proud of to do it. David's climbing again. Started last month with some easy trails. Says he's not ready to give up on it just because of one fall. Says he's not going to let fear win. That's my boy. My strong, resilient, too trusting boy. He asked me last week if I thought he'd ever find someone else, someone who wouldn't betray him. I told him what Margaret told me once. The right person doesn't make you question their love. They make you certain of it every single day. He's young. He'll find that person. And next time, he'll know what to look for. What red flags he missed with Rachel. And if he doesn't, if he gets hurt again, I'll be there, same as I was this time. Because that's what fathers do. That's the promise I made. And Patterson men keep their promises.